What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Minion Simulator, where today I'm gonna tell you guys exactly what these huges really cost, and it's not based on a value list, it's not based on people's word of mouth, what they think it may cost, it's based on actual experience, either selling or buying. The information provided in this video is 100% accurate, from the cheapest huge up till the huges that cost 1 billion gold. But bear in mind that the trading plaza doesn't allow you to have anything above 1 billion, so anything above that, people kind of assume, oh, this is worth 1.3, oh, this is worth 1.4, but when it comes down to actually selling them, they don't get that price. So I'm gonna tell you guys and inform you what the prices actually are, and we're also gonna see a bunch of rare stuff, Titanics, rainbow huges, the works. Let's start off with these pets. Here's the dragon mask on the left and the robot on the right. These two were sold for about 100 million for the longest time, and the thing is that the game creates all these new updates that allow you to spend gold and not anything to do to gain the gold back. So what happened is people couldn't afford these huges, and you just had to reduce the prices that you spent for them. From 100 million, it dropped down to 90 million. And then from 90 million, they were sold for 80 million, and people went up to 85 again. Now it's stable at 85. The only reason for you to spend more for these huges is only if it has this pickaxe. And these pickaxes, they only make a very slight difference on the leaderboard versus the molten pickaxe. So you're expecting to get 5 to 10 million, and that's if someone is willing to spend that much. If not, then you know what? Try to get 5 million profit out of it, and that's it. Next up, we have the Evil Pirate and the St. Patrick's huge. One of the ugliest huges in the game is the St. Patrick's. I wouldn't even accept it. If I had a chance to get that, I would sell it and get a dragon mask or a robot, and not that. And a lot of people don't like the looks for the huge Evil Pirate either. Even though that 877 exist of them, people would rather have other huges. So for right now, the price is kind of stable for these two at 95 million each. Next up, we got these guys, the Disco DJ, the Castle Knight, and the Destroyer, all of which are approximately 120 million. But although the three of them are grouped together, you have to bear in mind that the Disco DJ is losing value. I recently purchased this, or had someone purchase it for me, for 111 million. That's a huge difference between that and 120 million. But I see that losing value, but the rest are kind of stable at the moment. These next two I'm kind of surprised about, because the Christmas tree, okay fine, the Christmas tree is 130 million, but the Boppy here used to be 140, but right now currently both of them are stable at 130 million, and they don't seem to be increasing in value compared to the other huges that are in its category. Next up, we got these guys here, which are actually kind of increasing. I still see people sell the Ultimate Bunny for 130 million, but it seems to be increasing in value. The Nemesis, I don't know why it's increasing, but this is a very, very unpredictable economy. So if I were you guys and I had the gold, 130 million right now to spend, buy the bunny, nothing else. Next up, we got the Ice Dragon, the hamster that you can't see in the back because it's like a pint-sized huge, and also the Mistletoe. These ones are very, very stable at 140 million, but you will see people sell them for 145. But if you try to sell any of these for 145 million, you'll find yourself stuck with them for days until you sell it for 140. Now, next up, we got the huge creepy smiley on the left, and then on the right, the crazy tree. The huge creepy smiley has lost a lot of value and now is between 155 to 160 million, whereas the crazy tree used to be 175 million, down to 165, maybe 170 if you're lucky, but not more than that. Here's a group of huges that I really struggle trying to sell, except for the Jackson Skelly. So if you do have this gold, if you have this amount of gold and you're trying to buy one of these huges, consider only focusing on the Jackson Skelly and not any of those other guys. Those ones you're gonna get stuck with and can't even sell it for 170. That's a warning to you guys. Next up, we got the Pyro Princess and the huge Propeller Bob. For the Pyro Princess, you're looking at 225 million. If any lower or any higher, it's only by 5 million and not more than that. The Propeller Bob, let's say 280 to 300 million, just to give you a safe estimation, because right now you can easily sell it for 280, 290 million. Currently 188 of them exist in game, and it has a high demand. Next up, we got these guys. They have a value that's very close to each other. Starting with the huge headless horseman on the left, 350 million. It's stable, it's not changing anytime soon. And then we have the spring walker, which is fairly new, so the price right now is 380 million, and it could be even higher in the future. And then next up, we have this guy here, which I guarantee you is not worth 400 million. Next up, we got these guys. They are very new to the game. You still can buy them. Right now, at the time of recording, you can still, as you guys can see, you can buy the glitch chest and possibly get them. They are a very good investment because right now, each of them are still valued at 450 million each. Unfortunately, the Wise Warrior has the lowest demand out of all the 0.5% huges that came before it. 530 million to 550 million, that's the current value of it, and it doesn't have any demand whatsoever. This is the Gorilla King, and the Gorilla King is the first 1.5 chanced huge in the game. It came with a buff axolotl. It used to be 680 million, but there's just no demand for it. So the price for it that's kind of fixed for the past few months is 650 million. Guys, listen up. Be very careful when you trade for these pets. Some people will tell you it's worth 900 million, 1 billion. It's not. These are the correct numbers for it. We've traded about 5 of them so far, and only one of them was traded for the value of 800 million gold, but in huges. Next up, we have the retro robot. This one deceives you because it tells you that only 21 of them exist. When this update was out, for the first 2 hours of the update, I have a shorts video on YouTube hatching 10 of those chests and getting 2 of these huge retro robots and 5 huge Martys. That's how easy it was to get those pets, so these don't have the value that you would assume. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I see a lot of people wanting the spaceship alien much more than the fairy bird. Both of them right now, they have the same values, 950 million to 1 billion. I've sold a few of them, not the spaceship though. The fairy birds, I've sold a few of them for about 930 million, the last one for 950, and I struggled to sell it for 1 billion. Here we have the huge Slayer. The last one that I bought was for 1 billion. That was actually a couple of weeks ago. I see recently that some people are trying to buy it for 1.2 and 1.3 billion. So I can safely tell you guys that it's definitely worth 1.3 billion, not 1.5. Maybe a few people will say that, but this is what I can say safely at the moment. Next up, we have the huge Newt, and you have to bear in mind that this is nowhere near the huge Volcanica, the other pets before it, the 0.5% huges. It's nowhere near that. It doesn't have the demand like those pets have, but still, it's still a good looking pet to have, and judging by some recent trades, they were sold between 1.3 billion to 1.4 billion, but not anything higher than that. Next up, we have the huge Pixie. I sold one of them for 1.3 billion gold, but only because I really wanted to get rid of it. I know that there's no demand for it, not what people would expect, but recently some were sold for 1.4 billion, but since it's just really rare to find, I would say 1.4 to 1.5 billion to be super safe as for right now. Next, we have the huge Volcanica. The only reason why I have 2 of them is because I actually hatched these 2 and I just can't seem to let them go. I know eventually I need to sell one, but for now I just want to keep that. It's still the same value as always, 1.7 to 1.8 billion, not more than that. I don't know why it says 29 that exists. It used to say 31, it dropped down to 29. What, did someone get banned or something? That's really odd. Next, we have the huge Christmas dragon with the most confusing values I've ever seen, but I just had to ask a bunch of people what they expect this to be in case someone does have one for sale, and a lot of people said they will never let one go unless they get 2 billion for it. And I would agree with that because there's only 29 in existence and just nothing in circulation right now. I'm only gonna go by trade proofs and not word of mouth, what someone thinks it should be worth, what someone thinks this should be sold for. I'm only gonna go by what people actually sold this for, and that is between 1.8 billion to 1.9. I don't know anyone that sold it for 2 billion, but there's just no proof. People who have this would want to keep it in their inventories because there's nothing as good as this available. Next up, we have the huge buff axolotl, and a lot of people seem to suggest that it's worth 2.3 billion, between 2.2 to 2.3, but the last one that sold was for 2.5 billion, and there's still 2 people that are struggling to sell it for even 2.8. Don't believe the 3 billion hype. Now we're starting to approach the pets that are very, very valuable, to a point that this one I can only tell you guys that it's owner's choice. I bought one about maybe a month and a half ago for 3 billion gold. The next one that bought it was for 4 billion. It just depends on your luck and who sells it to you. Next up we have the huge mage. Again, also owner's choice for this one because this pet is so expensive that the last time I can think of one being sold was for 12 billion gold, and the person who sold it then said that someone offered them even 14 billion and they didn't accept it. This is an old clip of a huge castle knight as a golden version. If you notice, it's basically the same as a castle knight. However, the pickaxe is the only thing that's golden. I don't think this is gonna stay the way it is. Maybe in the future the devs will fix it so it looks like the dragon mask as well and just be all golden. But the interesting thing about this though is there's actually lower amounts of goldens versus rainbow huges of this particular pet in game. This is the rainbow huge castle knight, and there's actually 19 of them in game. These were purchased between 7 billion and 8 billion. But 19 of them exist. The golden one, only 9 of them exist, and I think that needs to be fixed in order to look just like the dragon mask, which is all golden. So maybe in the future, this is gonna lose a lot of value versus the other one, versus the golden one, even though it was purchased for a lot less. And people who are aiming for this will not spend more than 8 billion because it's still a risk to have. Imagine getting that and then suddenly Minion Simulator, they decide that they're gonna release golden and rainbow huges for the public. That's gonna make you lose a ton of value. Because the lightning huges aren't indexed alone and only an extra power for an already existing huge, I did not include that in this list. But next up is a pet that I did include, and this is the first time that you're gonna see it in its new rainbow form. And for the very first time, thanks to Caddy, thanks to Nixie, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna compare the rainbow huges also together with the castle knight and the dragon mask. You guys decide which one of them looks better, in my opinion. And it's not because only one of them exists in the game, which is this one here, but if you look at them side by side, look at the difference between these two. Even though the castle knight is much more valuable than a normal dragon mask, try to forget that there's more castle knights than dragon masks as rainbows in the game. Just look at the way it looks like for both of them. That spiral in the back of the dragon mask as a rainbow, it makes a huge difference. If you have this pet on you, you equip it, and you walk on by, there's no way that someone will not notice it. But if you have the rainbow huge, sometimes people don't even notice that the castle knight is an actual huge, because these rainbow huges, they overlap the avatars. If you just rewind just a bit, they go and they make your avatars a bit transparent and also rainbow as well. So people who see this in game, they just don't realize that it's a huge unless they go up to it and then notice that, hey, this is a huge that someone has in game, yay! But look at the enchants. There are 3 of these huge castle knights as rainbows, and none of them have the same enchants as the huge rainbow dragon mask. But speaking of rainbows, that still has 1 of them that exists in game. The castle has 19, and you just never know when rainbows are gonna be released in game. If you guys haven't noticed this already, what Minion Simulator are doing currently is they're becoming more and more like Pet Simulator X, so you can expect something like this to be available in the future. So if I were you guys, I would not cough up the 12 billion, 15 billion gold for one of these, so be very careful. Next up we have the Titanics. This one has 7 that exists in game, but actually in reality there's only 6 of them because I was one of the people that had an issue with this and my one got deleted in my inventory. I had another one that was spawned in by a dev, so I know that for a fact there isn't actually 7 of them that exist. It's only 6. But this is a Titanic that will not have any value on it because only 1 player has it, and I'm assuming that 2 developers have the other 2. 3 exist in the game, and this just looks stunning. Before I conclude everything for the day, what I did was I announced a giveaway where one person is gonna win a huge robot, and that person is Zombie Longlegs. I like that name. Good video as always, Deji. Thank you so much to them. I will add you on Roblox after I upload this video. And that's the end of today's video, everyone. What I'm gonna do for the next video is compile all of these values and put it in a sheet where you can just like screenshot and save it somewhere. And the whole point of this is to make sure that you guys don't get ripped off, because there are some greedy people out there and they're trying to rip you off. So I hope that you're not a victim of that. And that's all for today, everyone. I really hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, it would mean a lot to me if you can leave a like down below. If you haven't decided to subscribe already, please do so. That would really help me out. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all on the next one.